Have you ever listened to someone's story and felt something shift inside of you? Not because of who they were, not because of their title or their position or even their platform, but because something about what they have lived through reminded you of your own life. Maybe it's reminding you that the door isn't closed, even if you've started to believe it is. And maybe it's reminding you that your circumstances, they don't get the final word. And just maybe it's reminding you that it's not too late for your voice or your story to matter. Every story has the power to change life. And the stories that move us are often those that remind us of our own story and how it's still being written. Hi, I'm Dr. Tan, and I am the founder of DSW, a storytelling and dialogue platform created to honor voice, creativity, lived experience, and community impact that often go unseen, unheard, and undocumented. At its heart, Dope DSW is an invitation to gather, to reflect, to listen, to connect, and to honor you. The you that kept going even when someone else tried to write your story for you. The you that was told you were too much, not enough, too small, or too broken to matter. This is the place that says, bring it anyway. I am a lover of learning and knowledge, and along the way, I've collected a few titles and degrees, all of which I am so very grateful for every opportunity, for every classroom, every client, and every lesson. They have all been blessings that have helped shape this work and have framed this conversation that I'm bringing to you today. So let's talk about learning, real learning, because it looks different for everyone. For me, it started long before any classroom. It started within my life, in what I was born into, and in who I am. A Black woman whose education began with a GED, who kept going no matter what. Not because the path was clear or easy, but because of God's grace, who reminded me often that all things work together for the good of those who love Him. That meant the hard experiences were included, and even the traumatic ones. And even the circumstances that tried to write a different ending to my own story. They didn't get a chance to dictate the outcome. The degrees came, but so did the decades of showing up behind the scenes, the rooms I wasn't even supposed to be in, the seasons that shaped me in ways that no curriculum ever could. And I learned that however our education comes, and whatever it looks like, it was never just for us. It was always meant to pour into something much bigger. Your vehicle, or the thing that carries your purpose forward, might look completely different from mine. Maybe it's technical skills built through years of practice. Maybe it's the ability to connect, to walk into a room and make people feel seen. Maybe it's the way you've led your family or your community without ever needing a title. But here's what I want you to hear. Your purpose, it was never tied to a title. It was already alive within you, within your experiences, and within the ways you've shown up for others, sometimes without anyone ever pouring back into you. Alive in the experiences you've carried quietly. You know, the ones that told you that you were limited, less than, not worthy of more. Alive in the fear of the unknown, the fear of being judged for what you've been through. And alive in those moments you've hid behind, the titles, the degrees, the accomplishments, the position, and the title. Using those to stand in for your worth, when really it was never about any of that or about what you've earned. It was always about how you serve, with intention, with heart, and from a place that no degree can give you. It was already there, working, moving, waiting. The most meaningful work often begins long before we recognize it. Sometimes successes can become heavy when the people around you become too comfortable with a smaller version of who you are, or because the people that you're surrounded by aren't ready for the new version that you're becoming. The longer that these things are carried in silence, the more that they can begin to shape who you are and how you see yourself. A world that tells us to hustle, to grind, to keep going, even at the expense of our bodies, our minds, or even our peace. Sometimes the most courageous thing that you can do is to simply stop. That pause looked like spending more time in the Word, journaling, traveling, walking, spending more time in nature, spending more time with the people that I love. And in those moments, I started to align, to hear God more clearly, to refill what had been running on empty. It was a season of being uncomfortable on purpose, spiritually, physically, mentally. And in these seasons, the discomfort isn't wasted. It's not random, it's preparation. It's faith in action, trusting the process for something you cannot yet see. Understand that the discipline was not separate from the pain, and it was part of the process. And DSW, this platform and this space, it didn't come from a boardroom or a business plan. It came from life, from the lived experiences that live inside of people, including the people who have helped shape me. Long before I even had the words for what I was carrying, I was blessed with people, family, friends, mentors, people who poured into me authentically and intentionally. And a few of them are so near and dear to my heart. One of those people was my third grade teacher, Miss Thomas. Many knew her as an educator, but I knew her as a nurturer. She made me feel safe at a time when I needed safety. It was unexpected, and she never had to provide it. She reminded me that sometimes the most powerful thing that we can offer another person is simply to see them. And then there was my grandmother. She was my rock. She was a praying grandmother, and she provided wisdom and displayed the kind of love that still speaks today, even though she's no longer with me. She embodied a quiet strength built through her own untold story that was marked by hardship, resilience, faith, and perseverance. She taught me all about focus, keeping your eyes on God and not on the storm. She would tell me, do what's in front of you and finish it well, because what you complete, no one can ever take that from you. She also taught me about the true meaning of strength and not to apologize for having a heart of gentleness. Because as she would tell me, meekness is just strength under control. Dopeness starts with one teacher, one grandmother, one person willing to care, one voice that refuses to stay small, because somewhere, someone is waiting for permission to use theirs. One, that's all it takes. But I kept thinking about all the individuals, families, and communities who haven't had that door opened yet. Someone could scroll for hours past headline after headline, show after show, and never once see anyone who looks like them, who comes from their community, or whose story reflects what they've actually lived. Someone who is navigating health challenges and still showing up for others. Someone in the middle of caregiving and still finding ways to give. Someone under financial pressure and still creating. Building new businesses, new opportunities, new pathways for their community. People whose creativity, resilience, and quiet triumphs never made the news, but changed everything for their family and their communities. And I kept thinking, what if there was a place for those voices too? Because what we've lived through shows up in the smallest things and in the smallest way. The things that make us laugh, the things that make us cry, a favorite song that reaches all the way back through time and hands you your strength, a familiar smell, a memory you didn't even know you were still holding on to, that makes you smile from a place only you and God have been. DSW became a home for all of that, a way to amplify what's gone unheard, no matter the profession, the title, or the background. If you've ever wondered if your story still needs to be told, or if what you've lived through still matters, then Dope DSW was created for you. For you, if you've ever lived through something, built through something, prayed through something, served through something, and still wonder. So why Dope DSW? Because what you've lived through can help shape and inspire someone else's life. It can create hope in their next steps. And it's a reminder for you that what you've lived through, it still matters and there's still purpose. If anything that you've heard today felt like it was speaking directly to you or to your untold story, I hope you stay. I hope you'll connect, and I hope you'll find community here. If you want to explore Dope DSW further, including the Dope DSW Review, our digital publication honoring perspectives, lived experience, leadership, faith, creativity, and community impact, visit dopedsw.com. There you'll find a place to submit your own story, become a contributor, and connect with this growing community. If you've watched this and felt seen, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Tell me which part of this spoke to you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe, because there are more voices, more stories, and more lived experiences waiting to be heard. It starts with one voice, one story, one community. I'm Dr. Tan, and this is Dope DSW.